Hello and welcome to Network News. Today we're discussing the fascinating plans to add a new station to the national rail network by way of a heritage railway, which could see people commuting to and from work on heritage rolling stock, including steam trains. The town in question is Bewdley in the West Midlands. With a population of more than 9,000 people, many of Bewdley's residents commute into Birmingham, either by driving the whole way or by travelling to the nearby Kidderminster station and then taking the train in from there. However, major issues with congestion mean that both of these are far from an ideal solution. At peak times, it can take about an hour just to travel between Bewdley and Kidderminster. However, with a decent rail service, it would be theoretically possible to travel all the way to Birmingham in a similar time frame. Therefore, it's clear that what Bewdley really needs is a proper train service. It did have one all the way up until 1970, when its passenger service was withdrawn by British Rail, with the line limping on for freight until 1982, when this was also withdrawn. However, that wasn't the end of the story. The line between Kidderminster and Bewdley was never actually closed, and was instead sold to the Severn Valley Heritage Railway, who had already managed to preserve the line between Bewdley and Bridgnorth, which had been closed down in the 60s. Following this transfer, they were able to get heritage services running to Kidderminster by 1984. A positive step for sure, but not one which really provides a viable alternative to cars or a service which commuters can rely on. Since then, things have remained largely unchanged. Until now, with the recent announcement of a trial to run commuter services to and from Bewdley, once again making rail a viable option on this corridor by utilising an asset that already exists in the form of the Severn Valley Railway. So, what exactly is being proposed? Well, starting on September 1st, the trial is set to last for a period of 8 weeks, during which through ticketing will be made available to allow passengers to commute to and from Birmingham using heritage stock between Bewdley and Kidderminster, whereupon they can change across to a West Midlands railway service to take them the rest of the way to Birmingham. The total journey time end to end is expected to take just over an hour, with 2 departures in the morning peak and 2 return services in the evening, running on Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays. At this stage, the trial doesn't include any services on Mondays and Fridays, since many people work from home on these days, but depending on the success of the trial, it may be expanded in the future. It comes as part of a collaboration between the Severn Valley Railway, West Midlands Rail Executive and the train operator West Midlands Railway, and has been set up to test the feasibility of running trains between Bewdley and Birmingham on a more permanent basis. Through tickets will be made available for the trial by adding Bewdley to the Universal Ticketing database, meaning that it will become possible to purchase a ticket to or from Bewdley from anywhere in the country. Despite this though, the services themselves will still be operated using heritage rolling stock running on a heritage railway under the control of heritage railway staff. Specifically, since the trial is mostly aimed at commuters, they've set up 2 services a day in each direction specifically for use by commuters. In the morning, the first train will depart Bewdley at 6:40 am, connecting with the service at Kidderminster, which will make it to Snow Hill by 7:46 am. Then, the second train will leave Bewdley at 7:40 am, connecting with the service at Kidderminster, which will arrive at Snow Hill by 8:46. Both of these outbound services will be operated by the Severn Valley Railway's Class 101 diesel multiple unit. Then, in the evening, there will be 2 return services available. The first will arrive at Bewdley by 5:57 pm, following a departure from Snow Hill at 4:46, whilst the second will depart Snow Hill at 5:46 pm, arriving back into Bewdley at 7:02 pm. Both of these return services will also require a change at Kidderminster and will also be operated by a Class 101 DMU on Tuesdays. However, on Wednesdays and Thursdays, it's anticipated that they'll be operated using steam traction, most likely using their Great Western pannier tank or something similar. This is because on Wednesdays and Thursdays, the line will be running steam trains anyway, so they've decided it's easier to continue using the same stock to run the commuter services. The end result of this is that passengers with a standard mainline rail ticket could be able to complete their journeys using a steam train from as soon as September 2nd, though this is of course dependent on steam trains running that day, which may not be the case owing to the risk of wildfires at the moment. In any case, having the opportunity to travel on steam traction with a standard national rail ticket would certainly be a UK first, at least since steam was retired from regular services on the mainline. Speaking of tickets, and subject to final confirmation, it's expected that the price of a return ticket between Bewdley and Birmingham will be £16, though this can presumably be reduced further with the railcard discount. These national rail tickets will only be valid on the new shuttle services and will not be valid on other Severn Valley Railway services throughout the day. Likewise, standard Severn Valley Railway tickets also won't be valid on these new commuter trains either, meaning they've solely been made available for the sake of commuters. Tickets aren't on sale for the new service yet, as it'll take them a bit of time to add Bewdley to the national ticketing database, but it's anticipated that tickets will be made available before the trial actually starts. If the trial is deemed a success, then the hope is that it could pave the way for regular trains from Birmingham that currently terminate at Kidderminster to be extended through to terminate at Bewdley instead, meaning that the town would have direct services to the centre of Birmingham and become a much more viable place to live for commuters, reducing congestion on the roads and making the town more accessible for leisure, tourism and business. Mayor of the West Midlands, Richard Parker, said, "This pilot shows how we can improve our network by being more innovative with the infrastructure we already have, and what better way to start and end your daily commute than on board a heritage Severn Valley Railway locomotive." With services expected to start on September 1st, there's still a few details that need to be confirmed between now and then, so keep an eye out for further announcements, but this is all the information we have so far. This seems like a great way to add Bewdley to the national network and create a viable route for commuters without going through the challenges of rolling stock certification and route learning that would be required for an extension of the mainline service. Obviously in the long term that's what's ultimately needed, but as a short term solution, this can achieve many of the same goals with the additional benefit of being fun. After all, where else in the country can you board heritage rolling stock, including steam trains, with a standard national rail ticket? I'd love to see the look on the face of somebody who booked a journey through to Bewdley with a standard journey planner, not expecting anything unusual, only to find themselves boarding a steam train. In the medium term, it would be good to see the service levels expanded to cover Mondays and Fridays though, and once a more permanent service is introduced all the way to Birmingham using modern rolling stock, I would also hope to see the service pattern enhanced further to cover weekends and off-peak travel too. Doing so would maximise the benefits of rail for all passengers, no matter what time of day, making Bewdley a much more appealing place to live, work and visit by providing better national accessibility and reducing congestion through the town. However, all of that depends on this trial being a success, and I have heard from people living in Bewdley that many are unaware this trial is even happening, which could obviously have a negative impact on the number of people using the service. Therefore, I suggest that if you know anyone who lives in Bewdley or the surrounding areas, make sure you share this video with them to spread the word and help ensure that the trial can be a success. Otherwise, this may just become a short-lived footnote in the history of services on the Severn Valley Railway, which would be a real shame. But what are your thoughts on the plans to run commuter trains using heritage rolling stock? Is this an innovative approach to making the most of existing assets, or should they just have committed to a proper reopening of the line using modern trains? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe to Network News for more updates like this, and until next time, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to support the channel in continuing to provide high quality, independent analysis, consider becoming a channel supporter for as little as £1 a month using the links in the description. And thank you to our current supporters who are listed on screen now.